and welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program where we talk about the reality of the Catholic Church around the world. The People's Republic of Bangladesh is a sovereign country in South Asia, bordered by India and Myanmar. It is the 8th most populous country in the world, with an 87% Muslim population, the 4th largest Muslim population in the world. Hinduism is followed by about 12% of the population. Buddhism is the 3rd largest religion at 0.6%, and finally Christianity is the 4th largest religion at 0.3%. The Constitution of Bangladesh declares Islam as the state religion, but bans religion-based politics. It is considered a secular, pluralistic democracy. To know more about the work of the Church in Bangladesh, it is my honor to welcome to our program Bishop Moses Costa from the Diocese of Chittagong. Your Excellency, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Your Excellency, let's start with a very brief description of the geographical location of your diocese. In what part of the country are you?
Chittagong is the port city in the east south near Myanmar. So it covers the area bordered by 2 states of India, Mizoram and Tripura, and then part is by Burma, and on the south is the Bay of Bengal.
And what are the particularities of this region, Your Excellency? Geographically, why it's so important for the country?
Because of the trades, because all the ships are coming to that port city, and it has developed a kind of commercial place. A lot of industries have developed. So access from other countries is easy to Chittagong. So that is why even India is talking about whether they can carry things from this port, like northeast India and Nepal. So it has become very important city and port.
Now, this region, Your Excellency, has a majority of a Buddhist population. And how does this impact your pastoral work?
Actually, the Buddhist population is called in the Chittagong Hill Tracts, where there are 3 hill districts, and they are mostly there. And Christianity is new there, and the coming of the Muslim population, the Bengali Muslims, have started about 30 years ago. Otherwise, it remained a kind of land for the tribal people belonging to Buddhism, the majority, and also Hinduism is there. But the Christianity went there with education, with healthcare, this kind of service, and now we have it's growing there.
That was my second question, Your Excellency. How is the Church growing in this region? Is the Church looking to convert people from other religions into Christianity, or they are preaching first evangelization? What is this work that the Church is doing to grow?
The Church went there with not a direct intention of converting people, but preaching the Christian values to the people over there who have been very neglected and very vulnerable people. Because the road communication...
Why is this? Why do you emphasize these very vulnerable and difficult conditions?
Because of lack of communications and lack of development facilities, opportunities. There is no industries there, and the only way to reach out to people or the communication they have is only walking or by boat, simple boat of the hill rivers. So the people were really not having any opportunities for education, healthcare. So as Christian missionaries wanted to go there, and there has been always the request coming from the tribal king, and they were asking us to go with education, with healthcare facilities. So the church went that way, and the church started boarding schools, and so that way they came to know, they showed interest to know the Christianity, and that way people got attracted and now
attracted to the faith.
Yes.
Now, education is very important in the pastoral work of the church around the world. But in developing countries, it's even more important because sometimes it's the only opportunity that very poor people have to have access to education. Is this the case in Bangladesh?
Yes, I think church's greatest contribution to the nation in Bangladesh is the education. We are running very important institutions in the developed area, but we are now concentrating on the underdeveloped area where people speak different language. So it is quite difficult to take up this responsibility because they have to learn the Bangla, the national language, in order to learn other things. So it is a big challenge, and church has always the option for the poor and the neglected. And these people, because of illiteracy, they don't understand their own situation, and also they lack self-confidence. They cannot relate to the other people of the country, and they're losing. They have been living in the area for many years, but still they don't have the proper papers on the land. So for all this, they need formal education and other formation. So that's the church has been trying to do.
How would you describe the situation of the Catholic communities in the country, Your Excellency? Are they growing? Do they feel safe? Or is this a latent persecution or rejection of the Christian faith?
Well, church, the Christians are a very small minority, but they are all scattered. So it's very difficult to get united.
For instance, how many people are in your diocese?
I have only 30,000 Catholics in the whole diocese, in the midst of maybe 40 million people.
Yeah, to such a dense populated country, it's a very, very small proportion.
So I have, that's why we are all scattered. And our idea is how to empower the Catholics so that they live with proper respect and everything, but also at the same time they bear the Christian witness to the others. So, but with education also goes with our spiritual and doctrinal formation of our faith.
Now, in the Constitution, Islam is declared the religion of the state, but nevertheless, it promotes religious freedom, let's say. Is it really happening, religious freedom in the country?
The country came into existence as a secular country because everybody fought for the independence. And it was not fought for religion because the two wings of Pakistan were all Muslims. But our independence war was not for Islam or for any religion. It was more for the culture and the society that have been together for many years. So the harmony has been a very precious tradition of the whole region, even if there are Hindus and Muslims and Buddhists and Christians, but culturally we are one. The language is the one. So that was the idea. But then
to consolidate this cultural identity.
So slowly that question of religion came into the picture, and then it was made a state religion. But still the Constitution is not against other religion. We are supposed to have the freedom of religion, but slowly things are becoming a little difficult for us to really speak about religion and practice our religion in some places. Like Sunday is no longer a day of obligation because it's a working day, and our Christians are not able to go to church on Sunday. So it has becoming very difficult for us to practice our faith externally, as a community. Though the government says that we have the freedom to go to church, but in some place they may not be allowed to go because it's their working time. The schools are open on Sundays. So these are the difficulties that in the course of time have developed.
Religious intolerance, or can we talk about persecution, Monsignor, or is just religious intolerance in the country?
I don't think we have persecution, because people living in the countryside, they're living side by side, they go to the market and they mutually invite on their festivals. And so I think slowly the intolerance has somehow developed, but there is no real persecution.
So the intolerance is something more of a social pressure rather than initiatives from the government?
It is difficult to say. I think both could be the responsible. The church is serving the nation because we offer the best education, the quality education. It seems that people are interested to come to our schools, but it seems that they look for opportunities to get the education. But when we need something, we need support, we are not getting it. Discriminations are developing also. A few weeks ago I met some nurses, and there is a big demand for Christian nurses because of their dedication, their love for the patients and all that. But I talked to some of the nurses who are getting old now, but they are saying that they are not giving any more that importance as they are getting before. So it seems that sometimes our service is seen as in a very selfish way. But when we are in difficulties, I give you another example, like we are running some best schools, and we have so much pressure from the people and from the powerful people, the rich people. They want to put their children to our schools, but then to run the schools, we will not be free to have our own tuition system, that we have to get the tuition in order to pay the teachers.
Of course.
So then when we talk about that, it seems they're not interested in it, but we go through this kind of difficulties. Like another example we give, we have recently started the University of Notre Dame in the country, in the city, Dhaka city, and then we have a Notre Dame college which is so famous in the country. But then the government will put pressure that we have to take the best students there according to their judgment. But then we cannot agree, because our institutions are for everybody, for the rich and all the poor, for the city and for the countryside. But we don't have the quota system that we can take the tribal, minority people, the poor people. So they want us that we take the best students according to the previous exam, and then we don't agree. We don't agree. So for some years now, every year for admission, we have to challenge the government.
It's a fight.
Yeah. Then we had a court case, and in the past few years, the verdict was in our favor in this. So, but that kind of tensions that we have been going through. So it is coming also from the government, seems to me, because they are very difficult to communicate with the government. We had only one, after so many years, we had one minister, and through him we are able to communicate with the government. But recently he passed away, and then we feel that it was a big loss, and then to communicate with the government is very difficult, because we are so small minority.
But nevertheless, with such influence in terms of education services and healthcare. Now, in July of 2016, the world was shocked with this terrorist attack in the capital city in Dhaka, where some terrorists that claim to belong to ISIS attacked this restaurant full of foreigners. Is this a symptom of something that is happening in the whole country, meaning the influence of radical Islam in the country?
Government has been always not accepting the idea that it was done by the ISIS. But many people think that it is the ISIS. So we really don't know. But the fact is...
But at the end, they're radical Islams,
yes,
belonging or not to
but
ISIS.
This thing started many years ago, that the radicalism was growing very underground, lack of tolerance and all these things. But suddenly it burst out now.
Mm-hmm.
And past 1 year we have been having a lot of problems, and also the politically the country is also divided. There are many different parties not getting along, so there is a political unity is lacking in the country. So many things are behind all this, but certainly that the Islamic group is rising now, very clearly it is seen.
Do you think that there is some influence of these men that go to work to the Gulf states, the Gulf countries, and they're exposed to radical ideas about Islam and then go back to Bangladesh? Do you think that there's some influence in this regard?
I don't know, because people go there are very poor people. So they go because they have to spend a lot of money, because they have to
pay the visa and the
and other things. Sometimes they have to sell the whole property. So these people are very poor. They don't have even time to think about it. I think the help coming from outside, that sometimes the question is, like I work in Chittagong, like in the hill tracts, for example, where we have the Buddhist, the majority, and we see a lot of Islamic institutions coming up, a lot of mosques here and there. Every few meters you have one, but Muslim population.
So there is some financial help
coming
to be able to do
so
that.
then, as there are Islamic institutions on other places in the country, and where do they get the money? So that is a question that we have. And also some of our tribal children are taken to the madrasa by saying that we are taking you to the missionary school and this and that. So far...
What do you mean missionary school? To a Christian school?
So when our people hear that there is a missionary school, they always understand it's a Christian missionary school.
Oh, I see.
But they are actually going to the Islamic mission.
So with all the intention, they use that terminology so that people get the idea that would be Christian.
Yeah. So we have rescued so many already from the madrasas, the Islamic schools. And they're very innocent people. They don't know. Their parents are so poor, and the church is not able to support them. So sometimes they according to them, they said that we are told they're taking us to the missionary school, so we are very happy to send our children free of cost and all that.
And they don't even know that it is a madrasa.
So finally some students escaped and they came out, they reported to us. Now we saved over 100 children now. So they are wounded now, they need healing, so we accommodated to our schools. So there's
But now, can you do something about it, Your Excellency? I mean, some protest to the government or somebody who can say, okay, this is not right. I mean, you're lying to the people.
I think the church has not the strength to do it. I think the church leaders have to come together and then able to see what we are able to say, because sometimes whatever we say could be misunderstood, misinterpreted, and all these things now. So it's very difficult. In Chittagong I find cases like this, like we are getting very little understanding from the civil authority, all this kind of thing. We have problems with admission, a lot of influence from the leaders, but they have no right. It's totally not legal. But then when I talked to them, I said, whether I don't know whether you have the legal authority to push us even to take some children, because we have our own standard, our own mechanism. But it seems that they don't seem to be interested in it. So sometimes we feel a little helpless. We don't know where to go and how to talk about all that. And in this particular situation now, where the religious leaders are the target of attacks now, and some of our bishops also got the threat on the telephone, so it scared us now, so we don't know. And then at the same time,
And do you know who, I mean, who is threatening the
it is we unknown people, but it has been reported to the police, but we have never come to know all this. They said that you have to be very careful, or whenever you are going out, let us know so that we can accompany you. But it is a very disturbing factor now.
Do you live in fear, Your Excellency?
I don't say I am fearful, but I want to be a little prudent now, because so I just don't go alone. Somebody will have to go with me. So it's a very peculiar situation, and then at the same time we have a lot of questions coming from people, the government officials, how many we are converting, and why all these things. Then our answer is that conversion is not forbidden by the constitutions. There's a freedom of religion. So I sometimes tell them that way. If you are able to build mosque and all that, we can build also churches. So, but not everybody will dare to say it also. But I try to talk to my friends.
Is it easy for you or for the church to build new structures, new churches, new schools, or is it complicated?
No, we can build. Sometimes we need to depend on the foreign aid, but recently that for any foreign donations is difficult to receive, because to bring to the bank, and then bank will be asking that you have to get permission from the government in order to get the help. But we have been doing all these church activities. We never had this question, but now we are facing these problems. It seems to me that we are being squeezed a little bit that way. So we need to think and reflect and see the best way to face this situation.
Now, tell me a little bit more about this help that sometimes the church provides to people fighting for their land, for the title, the property title of their fields, their lands, against some landlords that are trying to take them over.
Well, actually, church is not financially helping, but church, people are very open to the church people. So they share all their sufferings and struggles. So when we come to know, we don't have the means to do it, to help them. But then it is mainly depends on the human rights workers, different NGOs now. So we refer it to them because we don't have the means.
You refer them to...
But then it's also very difficult for them, because sometimes it's very difficult to channel funds for this kind of work. I would love to do this kind of work, but then when the church will talk to some organizations, they say, oh, we will not help the church, but we'll help the organizations. So then we don't know. But I think the church is more close to the people, because people feel comfortable to share with us all their struggle, even which they don't want to share to the others, but they want to share to us. But then sometimes we don't know what to do, how to help.
You really know their struggle, their
Yes,
suffering. You don't have enough resources to serve them.
And the church is too small, and I think we cannot handle so many needs of the people. But our heart is for them, but we try to show that we are with them. And also we try to communicate to the authority that they have also some responsibility to do it.
Well, I'm sure, Your Excellency, that through this program, people will feel motivated to support and to help the church in Bangladesh, who is facing such important challenges at this time.
Yes, thank you for being able to talk with you now. And we are not in despair, but
but it's important to know these realities.
Yeah,
you know, and
but I think something good will happen. We have to rely on the God's grace, and that we pray, and we try our best. But the rest we leave it up to the Lord to take care of it now.
And we will pray for the church in Bangladesh, Your
Thank you.
Excellency, and
Thank
you
you.
pray for us.
Yeah, okay, certainly.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us in another program of Where God Weeps. If you want to know more about the work of the church in Bangladesh and in other parts of the world where the church faces these important challenges, we encourage you to contact the information at the end of this program. Thank you, and God bless.